Live. Hi guys, welcome to Conversations with Kate. This is going to be the new Sunday night thing that I do. Today we're going to be talking, oh, and I wrote failing already. Hold that thought. I wrote things out on post-it notes because I'm using all of my devices because I'm going live in 3 places and I covered them up. Okay. So I'm just going to wait a couple minutes to see some people jump on here. There's some people on YouTube. So today's conversation is going to be all about waiting. I was hoping to start these lives last week, but I ended up getting home really late from my baby shower and I couldn't get the tech figured out in time. So I apologize because I know some of you are excited and waiting. Hi, Carrie. Pause due to poor connection. Nope. Instagram's not working on me. We might have to miss Instagram. Okay, so we're going to be talking about waiting. So just for those of you that are joining, hey Paige, we're going to be talking Sunday nights between 8:30 and 8:45 sometime. I'm going to try and re-go live on Instagram here. Sorry, guys. Let me just try this one more time. So we're going to be talking on a Sunday nights, hi Elizabeth, about go live. Let me just try that again. There we go. Except I'm backwards. Guys, why don't I try to do 3 at a time? Hi, Lisa. Don't save, please. Sorry, friends. Just one moment. All right, you know what? There we go. I'm going to try this one more time. If it doesn't work, then that is it. Okay, it says I'm live on Instagram now. Okay, so on Sunday evenings, we're going to be talking about 4 questions. There's going to be a different topic. Today's topic is going to be all about waiting. So if you are a hopeful adoptive parent or just waiting for your first foster care placement, these questions might, they might apply to you. They might not. Stick around for the conversation if you would like. Hello, everybody that's joining on Instagram. So as always, I'm going to start with a general Q&A if you guys have any questions. I have been getting a ton of questions about when we're adopting little Miss Rosie. So I'm very happy to say that we're signing papers this coming Wednesday and we're super excited about it. But in Canada, the process is a bit different. So it's still going to be several months before we get all the paperwork back and like officially signed off from the judge. So I kind of explained it in one of my posts, but hello, Naomi. Yeah, Lisa, we're super excited. So Wednesday is a big day, but it's not a big day kind of thing. It is because we're signing and like that's when we're putting forth her new name and all of that. But the judge won't sign off on it for a couple of months. Will we change her first name? Her first name will be, I'm going to share it in a little bit, but her first name will be a version of Rosie. Yes, we're in the home stretch. We're super excited. We're very hopeful that it'll all be completed by the end of summer. Hopefully in August. They said several months, but I'm hoping to get a little bit more clarification from the worker when I'm actually at the meeting on Wednesday, but we're very hopeful it will all be finalized. So yes, her name will be a form of, Rosie's still her nickname, but her name will be a form of, but I'm not going to announce it until it's official. So let's talk about waiting. And you can pop up any other questions on here if you want at any time. We do call her Rosie in daily life, yeah. I'll explain that part. So she didn't actually have a name when we first found out about her. And I couldn't like just call a baby like, hi baby. So she had really rosy cheeks, which is where Rosie came from. And it just kind of stuck as a nickname because obviously, we can't share it on social media, her real name. So it was just kind of the nickname I used for her. And then we just kind of, we called her legal name and Rosie in the beginning, and then when it was starting to look more towards adoption, we started calling her Rosie more often because we knew we would be changing her name. So yeah, it's not Rosie, that won't be her legal name, but we'll still call her that as a nickname for sure. We just found out our little one's plan is being changed to adoption. Oh, Britt Mass, that's awesome. Congratulations, that's exciting for you guys. Yay. So let's talk about waiting. So why has the wait been so long? So I want you guys to share with me why your wait has been long. If you're waiting to, maybe you're just waiting to start the whole process. Like why has the wait been long? So I'm going to share for us, and then you guys can pop on. I would love that, and you can leave it in the comments and people, or in the chat box, and then people can comment on each other's if they would like. So for us, the wait has been so long. So actually last summer it was looking towards adoption, and then something happened in the case, and I can't get into details, of course you guys know that, but something happened in the case where somebody else came forward, and we really thought we were losing her for a long time. So there was a 5-month waiting period. Hi! There was a 5-month waiting period. Will we keep any part of her birth name? Yes, we're keeping her middle name the same, but we are changing her first and obviously her last name. Slow report, waiting to get our license. Yes, the licensing process, Rebecca, can definitely be slow. It was a 9-month process for us as well before it was all done. So yeah, with Rosie in particular, it was because somebody stepped forward. So she's going to be 2 in just a few weeks. And she's going to be after 2 by the time it's all finalized. So that has been why, because somebody came out of the blue, which can actually happen often when the case plan changes from fostering only to adoption. Sometimes people kind of step out of the woodwork, and they have to, of course, look into it. Kin is always, I say this gently because kin can be really anyone, which doesn't make sense, anyone except the foster parent, who often has the longest relationship with the child. But yeah, a kin stepped forward, and kin can be a very wide range of people. So you're licensed at the end of May, but now waiting for a placement. Yep, so waiting can take a while. So end of May, so you're a few weeks into waiting. We were licensed at the end of December. We got a call which kind of sped up our final licensing process, and then we ended up not getting that baby. And then we had like 2 more calls that didn't work out, and we ended up getting our first placement February 26th of 2016. Yeah, is that right? Yeah. So it was a couple months for us as well. Does anyone else want to share about waiting and why the waiting has maybe been so long? Okay. In US, after you have them a year, kin isn't like first priority. Foster parents usually have first option to adopt. Yeah, they kind of say that here as well, but that didn't seem to be the case, because they have to prove that they've exhausted all kin options, and that's supposed to be done before the year mark. But it doesn't always happen that way. I think foster parents after 2 years in Canada will be able to. You were licensed in March and you've not had 1 call yet. You're placed with 2 children 5 days after being licensed. Wow. Yeah, so there's a variety of waiting. Sometimes it can be really long. I like to tell people that are asking me about getting into foster care, like, just be prepared for waiting and be prepared to have a lot of patience, because from the minute you say yes to foster care, there's a whole lot of waiting. We're waiting for babies to be born, no exact date, but in July. Each day I wonder, is today the day? That is exciting. Carla, I know your story because we chat. But we had a situation with a baby that wasn't born yet, and we were waiting. They didn't know when she was due, and every day it was like, every time the phone rang, I was like, is this the call? Is this the call? Has the mom gone into labor? Like, it was a very anxious period, so I can only imagine how you're feeling. Hello and heartaches. Yes, I know you just had to say goodbye. There's lots of awesome mamas on here that I chat with regularly. We are in a year with 2 kiddos, waiting for family to start working on case plan, not done much, and we're a year in. Yeah, that part is really frustrating to me, because that's supposed to be the law, right? There's supposed to be a year to have permanency, and so often you don't see that law being followed, which can be really, really frustrating. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next question. You can still answer that one if you want. So what has been the hardest part of the waiting? So I'm going to answer that. For me, the hardest part is when the plan changed to adoption. Like, we were just, 15 months is TPR for you guys. Okay. Where are you located, Paige? So for us, the hardest part has been just wanting it to be official, because it's been that way really for a year now in Tennessee. Okay. And, we've had to put her in respite when we went to go visit family, and, we just haven't been able to do all the things that we could do if she was a part of our forever family. So for us, that's been the hardest part. She's absolutely worth the wait, and honestly, I don't want to answer my next questions because I'll get there, but we've had as hard as this wait has been, and as long as it's been a really sweet time for our family. But now that we're like in the home stretch, I'm just so excited. So if anybody wants to chime in on that, what has been the hardest part of waiting? whether it's to get your first placement, to adopt, whatever it may be. If anybody wants to chime in on that, I would love that as well. My hardest part is not knowing, just waiting and not knowing when. I know there's so many unknowns, right? In foster care and adoption. How many kids have you had altogether? We've had 9 kids altogether. The unknown, the hardest part. Yes, I'm seeing a lot of the unknown popping up. We've had our babies for a year now and no end in sight. It's so hard because I like to tell, when people ask me what's fostering like, I like to say, like, you really live in between the court dates. Like, you know, you have a court date, say January, and your next one is not until March or whatever it may be. It's like those 2 months you just live. You can only make plans for those 2 months. You don't know if in March they're going home and you're going to possibly be, you know, having time as just a core family, or opening your home to another child, or what the visit schedule is going to be like for a future child. So there's so much unknown. That's definitely the hardest part. I like to say the only thing certain about foster care is that everything is uncertain, and things can change daily, and things can change on a dime. I didn't say goodnight to my kids, so they're yelling at me to come say goodnight. Family finding had us on pins and needles for months. Yes, absolutely. We're in Australia. Hardest part has been the length of the adoption process. Even though it's an easy case, we've signed our affidavits, waiting to file and get a court. Okay. We've only had one court time in a year. Wow. That seems crazy to me. I know for us here, the court times seem long, but they're more like 3, I would say 3 months apart is kind of standard, but I've seen that with some states that it's just like a year, like one a year. That seems crazy to me. For us, like if you get a 6-month order between courts, that's a long time. And that does happen often, but that's considered like a long time. So a year, it's supposed to be every 6 months, but we didn't get that. Okay. Did you wait until you were approved to foster before telling everybody? And Jess Hall's story, and all the hurt and heartache and unknowns, what makes it worth it for everyone? What do you hold on to in the hard times? I'm going to answer that one quickly. Your story has been giving me hope. We just got our 6th placement. Hopefully move to adoption. Yeah, it's been 4 years and 9 babies for us. So it's been a long haul. When did we tell everybody? Yeah, we told like our close family and friends that while we were through the process, because it was a 9-month process. And then I was working in a salon at the time. So I remember telling my clients because my schedule was going to be changing and that sort of thing. But yeah, we told people. I think that's personal preference, up to you, however you feel about it. But we definitely did tell people through the process. I don't think I made like an official, I don't think I ever actually made like official announcement on social media or anything like that. I'm trying to think back. I didn't really start sharing our story until we'd already had, I think we were on our 3rd child. So I didn't really start sharing our experience until then, until I realized like just the lack of support that there was as foster parents. And in Ontario, do you attend court? My private agency. So you're not allowed to attend court in Ontario until the child has been with you for 6 months consecutively. So that means, say they were with you 3 months and went home and then maybe came back. Once you've had them 6 months consecutively, you're allowed to attend court, but not before then. And you're not allowed, once the child's been with you over 2 years, you get access to court papers and stuff. But I wouldn't say discouraged from attending court, but I definitely wasn't encouraged. And they kind of told, like when I said I wanted to go, they were kind of like, you know, they didn't really get back to me. So I actually missed the first one I was allowed to go to because nobody got back to me until like the morning of, because they're like, oh, foster parents don't normally go. For me, like with a potential adoption plan like that, court date could potentially change my whole life. So I 100% wanted to be there. We're encouraged to go here. Yeah, I find in most states that you guys are encouraged to go and almost even expected to go. Sorry, move that up. What else? I'm allowed to attend court as an entrustee. Oh, okay. Same in Kansas. Okay. Yeah, I mean, from the foster parents that I follow on Instagram and online, I find that you're almost encouraged to go and that they want you to be there. Feels like I lost that time bonding while believing I was caring for someone else's child. I get that 100%, because I think as a foster parent, like I love all of our foster kids like they're my own, but there's always this like last string that isn't fully connected because they're not your own. And I think when you allow yourself to fully attach, which I do, don't get me wrong, like I definitely attach to the kids, but there's always this last string is the best way I can explain it, because knowing I'm likely going to have to say goodbye, like for my mental health, I need to do that. We're told it's the only way to find out what's truly going on in the case. Absolutely. I find that when you're not at court, if you have really good workers, they'll call you right away, but often you have to like call them and you're not finding out till a couple days later, which can be frustrating, because for me on court dates, I'm like, ooh, like I just want to know what's going on kind of thing. So I find that very, very frustrating. So I'm thankful when I was able to start going, because you just feel like you're in the loop. A fostered life. Hi, Christy. So I can get all the info. Yeah, definitely. I think you showing up at court, if you're allowed, is the best. Like, one, you're going to find out all the info. Two, it shows that there's an interest, especially if you want to adopt. Like, just being a part of that case and being there regularly, I find it's really important to be at court, and you just find out so much more. Hey, Christy. Just find out so much more. I'm going to be doing a collab with Christy soon. If you guys don't know, I'm sure you've seen her on YouTube, but for those of you on Instagram and Facebook, she's another foster mama on YouTube. She's awesome. A Fostered Life is her channel, so go check it out. There's things that they cannot tell you that come out in court. Yes, definitely. Our children's place of Orange is 3 hours away from where we live. Wow, that's really hard. Transport is very difficult. I've heard that before. Another foster parent, like her agency expected her to drive the kids, and it was like an hour and a half each way. She's like, it's my whole day. Like, how am I, supposed to be able to do that? So I find that hard. We have drivers. They discourage you from using them, but we do have drivers that we are allowed to use. I've only used them when I really need them, when visits overlap, because sometimes I've had 2 kids at a time. Thank you for all your encouragement. You've truly given me hope. Oh, you're welcome. You've had a rough go. I know. We've been chatting over DMs. That's tough. I was asked by the judge to tell her what the child I have is like. Let her know his personality. I attend every time. I hate the wait that you have to either wait for the call or the caseworker to do them. Yeah, absolutely. For me as a foster parent, like, we're the one with the child. We are the one that need to maybe prepare them if they're going home or if they're going to be staying or what happened at court. Not that, if you have little ones, you're going to be telling them, but I just find it so frustrating that we're the last ones to find out about it. And, just having to call. Like, to me, if I was a worker, I'd be like, oh, I want to let the foster parents know right away. So I find that really frustrating for sure. I watched all of yours in a Fostered Life videos. Awesome. I'm licensed. Both of your content so helpful. That's awesome, Felicia. I'm glad you guys found it helpful. I found Christy at A Fostered Life was one of the only channels that I found, and then one called Bubbleish, but she wasn't currently posting, so I just couldn't find a lot of content, which is kind of why, because my blog never used to be about foster care and adoption. I'm a hairdresser, so it used to be about just like beauty and motherhood. But I was like, just felt led to keep sharing because there's just so much help in community. Are you a housewife? I work from home. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next question here. What have I learned in the wait? So I have learned, yeah, Christy, for sure. There's just so much unknowns out there, and foster care is hard, and I've definitely made mistakes of sharing too much, and that's actually something we're going to be talking about on Christy's channel. Sorry, I just missed that one. I just want to check that again. Our foster babies just left our home after a year. Oh, I'm so sorry. I did have issues with our kids adjusting after one of them in particular, our last little one that was with us, and it was really hard. There was a lot of tears. There was just some really hard days, but I think just reminding them that she got to go back home and be with her mom, and we stayed in contact with her. We still see her and have visits with her, and sometimes she stays overnight, so that was really helpful. But in those first few visits, her leaving again was hard on everyone, so we did have to take some time, but now we see her regularly. Okay, so patience. Patience is definitely hard. That is the number one thing you need as a foster parent, though, for sure. Definitely. So what have I learned in the wait? I have learned patience, like you just said. I have learned to be very, very careful with what I say. I have learned that people you think are supportive aren't necessarily the most supportive through the long haul. And I have learned that waiting can be a really beautiful time where God can grow you, and that's it's really been a beautiful time in my life. And as much as this weight has been difficult and hard, it has been so very worth it. And I honestly wouldn't change it. Yes, I mean, if things happen the way they were supposed to, she would be adopted, and we'd be close to celebrating our first year as officially adopted. Um, and that part I would say is hard, but the way God has grown me this year, especially with the thought of losing her back in the fall, and everything that's kind of come to pass, it's just been a really beautiful time. So all of her children are real children. I missed that question. Yeah, real children, that's a term I don't like. I'll be honest with you guys. All my children are real children, whether they came from my womb or they came to me differently. They're all real, just like they're her real mom, even though I'm not her biological mom. So that real term is kind of different. So why has the weight been beautiful, and find the positive? So I want to know if you guys have any positives about the weight. I've learned that not everyone understands the hardness of foster care. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, I think I felt really supported when I went into fostering, and I have 2 biological children and 1 almost adopted child. And then I found people kind of peter off, and there's some people that are in there for you for the long haul, and I think you'll often know that as you kind of go along. But yeah, I think the support part has definitely been hard, which is why I like just creating a community online has been such an important thing to me, because nobody understands foster parents like another foster parent. So if you want to share any beautiful or positives, I just think it's been, the longer you have to wait for something, nothing that is worth it ever comes easy. So I really find that the longer you have to wait for something, the more worth it seems, if that makes sense. And the day we send those papers in the next few days, and then the day in the next couple months when we get all those papers back, I know are going to be like crazy beautiful. So I would say that is the positive, and just how our family has bonded and grown, because when you go through hard things like we've gone through this past year, and we thought we were losing her, like that was a really, really hard time, really kind of hopeless feelings that we were having, but our family has really bonded and grown stronger for it. So I would say that is a positive of all the waiting. And just teaching patience. I like to, when you ask God for patience, there's a hard but valuable lesson that you're not in control, and every day is a gift. Absolutely. Absolutely. Every day is a gift, and you never know when you might have to say goodbye. And you just have to cherish the moment that you have with your kiddos, with your foster loves, and just pour into them while they're with you, because you never know. We had our foster baby's mom called CPS on us 3 times. It has been cleared. I feel incredibly blessed to have the 2. We got to adopt a 2-year-old and a 9-year-old. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, not related. That's right. Yes, I saw your pictures, Lisa. Not related. So amazing. I just love how these families, come together through foster care and adoption, and just really beautiful endings can be born out of brokenness. And I just think that's really beautiful. To answer your question, I'm just going to go back here. Where were you? So I had an allegation against us, not from the mom, because I called and made an injury report, and the area of the report, there's a video actually on my channel all about this, if you're watching this on YouTube. So I had to go through the investigation process, and it was cleared. Everything was fine, but I did have to go through it, which sucked, and it was actually really hard. But I've had a lot of people telling me this lately. I want you guys to understand that bio moms will often say and do things because they feel so out of control, and them trying to blame you almost makes them feel like they have a little bit of control. So it's a common thing that they will try and get the kids removed from your care. And I had a friend actually with my agency, and after several months, and the attachment was great with the baby, the mom was just like too much to handle, making allegation after allegation, and they just couldn't go through it as a family anymore. And her husband was a police officer, I believe, he worked in the community somehow, police officer, firefighter. So if anything came to fruition because of his job, like that was just really worrisome for them. So they ended up disrupting the placement. And, you know, as hard as that was for them and as hard as that's going to be for that little girl, you know, sometimes the bio parents do. They make it really impossible. I have another woman that's messaging me right now about this exact thing, like how do I deal with this? How do I deal with the mom? And if I have any tips. So I haven't had any, like, all of our moms, thankfully, have either been like disinterested in me. No, that's not the thankful part. Or really willing to work with me and to have me help them. I learned so much from Christy from A Fostered Life. Yeah, she's awesome. Where did my messages go? Have you ever threatened to send the kids back to a bad situation out of anger? I've seen people behave that way and use the term "not my real kid." I don't think you would. I don't think those people are good foster parents. You should never say that to a foster child. That's really horrible. To threaten to send them back. That is not. With foster children, you really have to use positive parenting, attachment parenting, and just be very careful with the words you use. Words are very powerful. So no, I would never say something like that. And I would hope foster parents wouldn't say things like that. All right. That is all the questions I have for tonight. How long has this been? 26 minutes so far. So I am going to jump off now unless you guys have any other questions or anything you want to share. Definitely go check out Christy's channel if you haven't. Thanks for jumping on, Christy. And you guys can look forward to, we've got some exciting collabs planned that we're going to be filming in the next little bit. Okay, so I'm going to jump off now. Thank you guys. I'll be back next Saturday, and I would tell you what it's going to be about, except I don't have it on my thing here. Oh, we're going to be talking about contentment in the mundane. So more of a general motherhood topic. We're going to be talking about that next week. So if there's no other questions, I'm going to jump off, and I hope you guys all have a happy Sunday and a good week ahead. Oh, one more question's coming in. How do you say no to a placement? We feel so guilty for doing it. You should do a meet and greet, Rebecca. Saying no can be really hard. I had to say no 3 times, and the third time it got easier, but the first 2 times I felt terrible. But I just try to remind myself, and an old friend told me this, that saying no to one child means saying yes to another, and that child might be a forever, or that child might be a better fit. And as foster parents, we really want to try and help these kids. I'm not saying like save these kids. I don't have a savior complex or anything like that, but just trying to help these kids. And there's a lot of guilt in saying no. And yeah, you just can't. You can't help every child. You can't. Get the local gals together. Definitely. Rebecca, actually, I want to talk to you because we're starting a foster care support group in our area. So I will put more details up for those that are local. I don't share where I am here until our adoption's final. Then I might share kind of my location. Anyways, thank you. That's what we need. Okay, I'm going to jump off, guys, and I'll see you guys next Sunday around the same time, and we'll be talking about general motherhood and finding contentment in the mundane. Sometimes we need some therapy also. Yes, definitely therapy. Check with your agency because they often pay for therapy. I haven't used it yet, but my agency does pay for therapy. Okay, ladies, have a great night. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye. This is the thing when you try and go live on 3 things. And